What up, B Squad? It is your boy JB, and we are here today, you guys, with another review for Reasonable Doubt Season 2, Episode 7. This episode, it was titled Venus versus Mars, I believe. If you guys are watching this video or any other video on the channel and you guys aren't subscribed yet, then I need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and then having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know the routine. You can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and also by turning on your post notifications, you guys. And with that out of the way, without further ado, let us go ahead and get into this episode of Reasonable Doubt, shall we? All right, you guys. So this episode, it literally picked up where we last left off. You guys remember in the last episode, Lewis was saying, I can explain, Jax, right? So we open up the episode with Lewis saying, I can explain. So, he said, how about we go check outside in the car? She was like, nah, the kids ain't here, so the floor is all yours, my ninja. So he told her he doesn't know for sure if the baby is his. So he was just trying to wait. So Jax said, yo, trifling, wait a minute, she called him trifling, right? And she told him, like, I saw you at the hospital. I called you. You ignored me. Then I called you back and you said you had some, you were doing some work. So you lied to me, right? Then she said, I also asked you if everything was okay and you lied to me then. She said, so it was all lies. And all I can think about was Candy. The lies, the lies, the lies, right? And she said, so how do you expect me to believe you? So he said, he didn't want to tell her without knowing for sure if this baby is his, right? So she asked him how it started. He said, he met Tony at JT's party. So she said, was it like a date or were y'all just fucking? He said, the latter. She said, okay, so how many times did y'all fuck? And he said, 4 times. She said, okay, so when was the first time? He said, the first time was after he saw her with Damon. So she said, a revenge baby. She asked him, so where what was the second time? He said they got high and they got drunk. She said, did you wear a condom? He said no. I was like, you fool. I know that there's some of y'all that like Lewis, and I don't dislike Lewis. I think Lewis is he's a good father, but when it comes to being a husband, I don't necessarily know if Lewis is a great husband. So he said that Tony told him she couldn't get pregnant. I was like, you fell for the oldest trick in the book, Lewis. You're older than I am. How did you fall for that? She said, well, obviously she can't get pregnant because she is, right? So she told him, you know what, Lewis, leave. He said, where am I going to go? She says, honestly, I don't give a fuck where you go, right? So then this episode, we did a lot of flashbacks to their relationship. So we flashed back to October of 2007. And we see as they were in a car accident because Jax were in it, Lewis, right? So he gave, they exchanged information. And at this time, she was still staying with Mama Luce. What is her mom's name? I forget her mama's name, but she was staying with her mama, right? And so he called her up and she was like, oh, you the person you're the only person in LA that actually stops at a stop sign. So he called her to ask her out on a date and she agreed to go on a date. Now, we go back to present day and we see Jax in the bathroom and she's throwing up. I was like, now, Jax, are you pregnant? But I think that was just her nerves kicking in at that point, right? So Lewis texts her saying, she has the right to her feelings, talking about how much he loves her and how he thinks that they should talk further, right? She told him, well, we do have therapy today. And he asked if she's going. She said, sure, she's going, right? And he said, thank you. She gave him a thumbs up emoji and she also rolled her eyes at him as well, right? So then after that, we see as she's at work. So it's her, Corey, actually it's Corey and Crystal talking, right? And so Crystal was talking about something that she did. And we found out that Crystal is actually studying for the LSAT test, right? But she hasn't told Jax at this point. So Corey asked if Jack, when Jax got in, you could tell she was not herself, right? So he asked her if everything was okay. She said, yeah, just didn't sleep well last night, right? So then she told him, well, we lost our DV expert, right? because of a family emergency. So he's like, well, the doctor that we had on the Instagram live, I'll see if she's available to come to court and, talk on Chanel's behalf, right? So after that, he also let Jax know that Lucy is going to be calling Tony as a witness. And she said, well, they're talking about the text messages. And she says, well, Chanel didn't know, so they can actually use that, to their advantage, right? Now, speaking of Lucy, we see Miss Lucy, who's not, y'all know I call her Miss Hard Ass, but she ain't really like she's so much softer with her hair, laid down and stuff. I was like, oh, okay, I see you, Lucy. So we see her, and she got a delivery of flowers from Peter Thompson, who is, I don't know if he's her ex-husband or if he's her current husband, right? But he told her he wants to be a family. He wants to be there for their son and everything. And she said no. And she asked for security to have that man expeditiously removed, right? Now, back with Jackson Corey. So Jackson Corey, they're watching, I don't know what that was. Whoever the person, no offense to that person who was talking about Chanel's case, acting was not that great. I'm just gonna be honest with you. But the person's talking about, they're watching somebody talk about Chanel's case. I think it's like, it looked like alive, but I don't know. So what they're saying is that, they're gonna have Dr. Culver and Dr. Jen come in as a defense. So I believe Dr. Culver is the therapist who saw Chanel the night, of JT's untimely demise. And I think Dr. Jen, no, Dr. Culver is the one at the ER doctor. Dr. Jen, I believe, is the doctor who saw her after, the whole situation happened, right? So Jax told him that she needs to leave early to deal with some personal things. He said, is everything okay? She said, yeah, I'll see you Monday, Corey. So we get back to court. And so the therapist, actually, no, we're in therapy with Jackson, with Lewis, right? So the therapist asked Lewis, like, why did you keep that a secret? And once again, Lewis is saying the reason why he didn't tell Jax is because he just wanted to make sure that he knew 100% that this was his baby before he even told her. Because if he told her and then it turned out not being his kid, then it would all be for naught, right? I was like, not necessarily, because just because it's a baby involved doesn't mean that that's the end of the world. Like, there are things called S, T, and D, sir. We can see that Tony was loose with it, but okay, whatever. But he said he was planning on telling Jax that night. He said, that's already said that. But Jax is in her feelings, and her rightfully so, right? Because she was like, this is so funny, right? What is this? Like the Real Housewives of Love and Hip Hop? Like, you had sex with a woman that I know, and you know, this woman is involved in the case that I'm working on. Like, it's so much stuff with this with Jax and Tony. And she was like, this woman knows more about something about my husband that I don't even know, right? And she told him he's just another ninja to complain about, right? And he told her, wait a minute now, don't go there, because I'm not, don't no, don't reduce me to just another ninja. And he was like, because you've been out here passing out puss like it ain't nothing, right? He said, I got over that. He said, I also got over the fact that Damon tried to unalive you. And then you were waking up in the middle of the night, and I had to, help you get back to sleep. So don't reduce me to just another ninja. And I was like, I guess, Lewis, right? So the therapist asked, he suggests that they do individual sessions. Either they are going to figure out how to work through the marriage, or they're going to completely uncouple. And I was like, they should probably uncouple at this point. Because see, here's my thing. Let me know what you guys think, though, for real, for real. Because I'm just on the thought process of I'm on the thought process of, it's one thing to cheat, right? Cheating is one thing, but to bring in a baby, oh, that would, I think that like I said, I can handle cheating. It's the baby part that would just, mm-mm. it would be the baby for me that I would have to say, you know what, this is gonna be like a deal breaker for me. But again, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, you guys. So we see Jax. So Jax is out with Sally and Autumn, right? She told the girls about Lewis, and then Jax she told them that they're at a breaking point, right? Where they have to decide if they're going to stay together or they're going to break up. And then she's like, and then also this case. And so Sally looked at her and was like, say what now? Like, are you going to be able to win this case? Because I need you to be good on this case, Jax. And I was like, excuse you, Sally. Again, I know that this is lending to everybody's theory that Sally is the one that did it. I think here's the thing when it comes to Sally, you guys. I don't think that Sally, I still don't believe that Sally is the one that did this. What I believe is, and we can discuss this as well in the comment section as well. What I honestly believe when it comes to Sally is, yes, does Sally know something? I believe that 100% that there is something that Sally knows that Sally isn't saying. Because I did actually read the synopsis of episode 9, because it says in episode 9, after her failed performance on the stand, Sally is hanging by a thread, making Jack suspicious. I still think that the writers are leading us to believe it's Sally. What I think it is I think this is my opinion, you guys. Let me know what you guys think. But I still think that I think that the oldest daughter is the one who did this. And I'll tell you guys, I think I may have said this last week, but I'll say it again. The reason why I think it's the oldest daughter is because I think JT repeated a cycle of abuse with his kids as well. Remember, remember a few episodes, the episode when his mom took the stand and Chanel revealed that his mom abused JT. I think JT repeated that cycle of abuse with Chanel and his daughters. And then I think that the daughter saw her mother being strangled by her father. She came in and defended her mama. I think that that's what happened. But again, I love hear y'all's thoughts and opinions. We can discuss it in the comment section below, you guys. But let's go ahead and move on. So Lewis ended up staying over at what's her name's house for the night, Sally's house with Chris. And Chris is playing what these itches want from a ninja by DMX, right? If you guys realize I'm not saying certain words because I'm trying not to get flagged, but I'm trying not to get flagged. So for the time being, there'll be certain words that I won't say until I feel like we're in the clear. So Chris and Sally, they still ain't seeing it. He still ain't seeing it for her, which I don't blame Chris. I mean, you put the house up like, no ma'am, no ma'am, no ma'am, no ma'am. Absolutely not. So Lewis suggested that Sally and Chris do couples therapy, right? And he said she isn't who he thought she was, right? And I was like, okay, I mean, yeah, she's wrong, but you know what? I ain't gonna fault Chris. I can't even fault Chris. I can't. So now we move on to July 2020 to July of 2012, you guys. So we see as Jackson Lewis, they are dealing with a 3-year-old Spencer, and I guess they have an infant Naima because Jax was pumping, right? So not Jax, but Lewis wanted to get some, right? And Jax was like, babe, I am pumping, and then I just made partners. So it's a lot of stress going on with me right about now. So she's not in the mood, right? So then Lewis mentioned a club that JT told him about, and she was like, "Of course, JT would know about that. He's probably still cheating on Chanel, right?" So he said, "We can go, and maybe it can spice up, the sex life a little bit." And she was like, "You know what? Okay, cool, right?" So then we move back to present day, and we see Spencer. He came in to let Jax know that he was getting ready to go to one of his friends' party, and he asked, like, "Where's Dad?" And she said, "Oh, your dad went into work early." He said, "On a Saturday?" She's like, "Yeah." So that was that. Now we move back over to Corey. So he told Jax that that they know that Chanel knows that JT slept with Tony, right? But Lucy hasn't submitted anything related to the idea that Chanel knew that she was pregnant, right? And so Jax told him what Crystal shared, that Tony went down to get a DNA test because she's unsure of who the father of her baby is. So after that, they're talking, right? So Corey wants for Jax to get on the stand and do a cross examination of Tony, because they're talking about this. Because Tony asked, you guys remember, Tony asked for the money of JT to get the abortion, but she never got the abortion. And that's just one thing, right? It's one thing not to get the abortion, but it's one thing to ask him for the money and you don't even know who the father is, right? So that's what they're saying. So uh So what they're saying, so yeah, that's what they're saying. Now, Corey wants Jax to do the cross examination because it wouldn't look right for him to get up there and basically call Tony uh, a 304, right? So we see Jax. So Jax was in therapy solo, and the therapist asked her if this is enough to end her marriage. Like I said, for me, it would be. She said that's what she's trying to figure out, right? She also is talking about the fact that she's never really received unconditional love because she doesn't know what it is. And so the therapist was just really talking to her about unconditional love in this particular scene. So then we move on to September of 2012. So we hear Body Party by Sierra playing, right? So we see Jackson Lewis. So they went, to the I get they look like a swingers party. It looked like a swingers party, and then so a man came up to Jax, and he told Lewis, like, you have a beautiful wife, right? He was like, you have a beautiful wife. And when he did that, the man kind of, he asked for permission to, approach her, right? Yeah, he asked for permission to approach Jax. And when he approached Jax, he kind of kissed on her, rubbed on her. When people, sometimes Jax looks uncomfortable, but then then it'd be like, oh no, she gets into it because she looked a little uncomfortable. But we did see as Lewis and Jax went home and got it popping with each other, right? So now we're back in the present day, and we see as Tony is on the stand. So Lucy is talking to her, asking, about the affair. So Tony is saying that Chanel found out about the affair a few months ago and sent her some angry text messages, right? And Lucy asked her to read the text messages. So in the text messages, what was said to Chanel to Tony is like, damn, girl, you were supposed to be my friend. Like, I expected it from him, but from you, wow, that's foul, basically, right? And I'm paraphrasing. And she said, but you know what, girl, thank you, because you made what I need to do next even more clear to me. Again, paraphrasing. So Lucy asked her, what did you think that meant? And Tony says, well, I thought that meant she was going to leave her husband, but we see what happened. And Lucy was like, what happened? Well, he's not here anymore, right? So then Jax got up and cross examined her, right? So, you know, well, actually, let's see. Oh, so also with Lucy, she's talking about the fact that she's still talking to her, right? So she's talking about the fact that their daughters were once close, and when Chanel found out about the affair, she iced Tony out, and her daughter couldn't play with her kid anymore. Girl, you're lucky she didn't give you a big mama beat down. Like, Tony is delusional. Girl, you are lucky Chanel to put them paws on you. Because I would have put the paws on you. Just me personally. I would have laid hands on Tony. And not in a blessing kind of way. But neither here nor there, right? So Jax went next. And so Jax asked if Chanel mentioned her pregnancy. And Tony says no. So then she also says, okay, Chanel said that she was used to JT cheating. She said, yeah. So then Jax asked her, so when did this start with her? Because you planned her daughter's birthday party. So when did this happen? And Tony said it happened when she was planning her daughter's birthday party. I was like, wow, Tony, you ain't got no kind of respect for nobody. It's all about Tony, huh? So we also found out that the only reason why Chanel knew is because JT told Chanel. And when JT told Chanel, Chanel went to Tony, but Tony for months continued to deny that she had an affair with JT. And I was like, wow, girl. So how yeah, Tony ain't ish. So Jax asked her, was JT the only person that you were sleeping with? And she said, no. She said, so how many men were you sleeping with? She said, two. She said, okay, was the other man married? She said, yes. I was like, Tony, do you have a thing for married men? You nasty. At least go for a married man that's in an open, either an open relationship, a poly relationship, something with his wife. But again, this goes towards you and Lewis and even JT. Why y'all not using condoms? Okay. So Jax asked her, so is it safe to say that you don't know who the father of your child is? So Tony says, yes. Baby, when Tony got up from that stand, Tony looked pissed. I was like, girl, be mad at yourself. So we see Crystal. So Crystal is talking to Daniel, asking Daniel for help to tell Jax that she is taking the L, wants to go to law school. And the reason why she's asking Daniel for help is because she feels that Jax will be mad at her once she finds out. And, she was like, well, actually, Daniel was like, who cares? Like, you need to tell Jax what's going on. And she's like, you know what? Thank you. He said, I love you too. She's like, I told you not to make this weird. Now, we move back to court. So Corey has the doctor who saw Chanel, the therapist, right? And she's just recounting, the conversation with Chanel, the fact that Chanel still fears for her safety, even though JT is deceased, and she doesn't really see herself as a victim. She also talked about her psyche and Chanel became visibly uncomfortable. Now Lucy, she was like, "Wow, so the first time that you saw Chanel was the night that you met her. After this, that was the first time." She's like, "Yes," and she's like, "So in an hour, you were able to ascertain all this information about Chanel." Well, Miss Lucy, girl, it was obvious, but okay. I mean, come on, sis. I really think you're about to lose this case, but come on, sis. So I think they took at this point, they had taken a recess, right? So Corey was, just talking to Chanel about, what's going on on the stand. And, she asked, can I have a few minutes along with Jax? So she asked Jax, like, is everything okay? And she was like, oh, yeah, everything is fine. She was like, Jax, I know you. She was like, what's up? So she told her everything that's going on with Lewis. And, Chanel was like, Tony, more like Honey, right? But she was able to cheer Jax up because she was like, you got to check on your strong friends. So that's what she's doing. So Jax got home and Lewis was there. He asked her how was the trial. She said it's a lot, right? And she told him she misses him. He said, really? She's like, yes. But, she was just really upset, which, again, rightfully so, Jax. You've been hit with a bomb, and then you got hit with a bigger bomb. He said, well, I got the results, and the baby is mine. I was like, we knew that. Well, I knew that. I knew that. I definitely called it. So Dominique, yep, that is his baby. I had a feeling it was his baby. Lewis, I ain't even finna ride Lewis that hard. I'm gonna let it go for right now. So they had dinner, but during the course of dinner, Jax got up from the table and she walked away and went to the bathroom, right? And she started crying. So Lewis came to the bathroom to see if she's okay, and she just told him, like, leave me alone, Lewis. So we see the next day as Jax and Corey are going through the court records, right, of the money. Now, Corey says that this is something that they could use to their advantage. He came up with some kind of strategy, but Jax was like, we can't present that to the jury. But what they're going to do is, because again, actually what Corey was going to say was, and I just remembered it, The money is in, we all know that the money is in Chanel's name, right? But Evan is still linked to this as well. And what what Corey suggested is going to the jury and basically saying to the jury, like, he put this in Chanel's name. He was going to unalive Chanel, and then, it would all look like it was under the guise of Chanel. Now, they decided Crystal came in with another box, and Jack says, "Hey, can you stay late?" And she was like, sure. And Corey was like, "Don't you have something that you need to do?" And she was like, "No." And Jack's like, "Wait a minute. What's going on here?" He's like, "Don't you have something that you want to tell Jax?" And so Crystal went ahead and told her that she wants to go to law school and she's studying for her LSAT. And Jax was happy. She was like, "Girl, go home and study for your studies." She was like, "Really?" She was like, "Yes, go home. We got this." So then Corey says to Jax, like, "Don't you want to go home?" She's like, "Nah, I'm good, right?" And so she says, let me go make a phone call real quick, right? So she called Lewis to ask Lewis to stay with the kids a little longer. He's like, "Well, I'm swamped at work too." She was like, "You know what, Lewis? Never mind." He said he has therapy and it's crunch time at work. And he's like, he's like, "You're making it like my job isn't important or something." She's like, "But it's gonna be important with a break, baby." I was like, "Oh, Jax, girl, you just threw that in his face." Was I mad about it? Nope. So we moved to March of 2017. So we see as Lewis is getting ready, he was looking for a promotion, so he was doing his pitch. Now he asked Jax if he could do it to give it to her, right? And I was with Jax when he started talking about his pitch. He seemed so less than confident. But he's like, I'm good." I was like, "She actually was telling you the truth, Lewis. Like, you look like like you look tense." But he got in his feelings, and that's what Lewis does. That be my biggest issue when it comes to Lewis. Anytime Jax critiques him, or now sometimes Jax do be hard on him, and I think unnecessarily. But in that particular moment, Jax was just basically saying like, "Yo, bro, like you need to kind of loosen up a little bit, right? You need to loosen up just a tad bit." So I got where she was coming from, but sometimes, like I said, he gets upset for no reason. It just be, to me, it'd be annoying. Like, it'd be annoying to me. Now we see Lewis in therapy, right? So he said he didn't know how to get through this, right? And he says he doesn't want to lose his wife. However, he feels like, um, he feels like everything that he does, it's unfair to him because with her work, with her job, and her job, um the Damon situation, everything that he's forgiven, he feel it's all about how he feels, right? And the doctor was like, "Well, how about you get out of the feelings and more into intention when it comes to Jax?" Like, I was like, exactly. Again, here's my thing. I absolutely get where he's coming from with the fact that, it's like you take a second seat in your marriage to her job. I get that, right? I also get the fact that you had to forgive her for sleeping with Damon, right? I also get that you had to forgive her for sleeping with the other guy, right? I get all of that stuff. I get that. But the one thing Jax did not do is get pregnant by somebody else, right? Jax didn't get pregnant by Damon. Obviously, Jax was using condoms. So you're the one, and it's not a pile on or a beat up of Lewis, but you did something astronomically stupid. Like, you said you used a condom one time, the first time with Tony. Why not the second time? I don't care how drunk or how high you are. You didn't forget that you have a wife and kids and a family that you could be. So now you have to worry about how your wife is going to feel, and you haven't even told your kids yet. Like, my God. So yeah. Now we move back over to Jackson Corey. So Corey told Jax how he got his California law license, right? And he's talking about, you guys remember that client that we met? Well, actually, that's not even his client. So the reason why that woman is in prison is because of a domestic violence situation as well. And what happened is she sued a doctor, her husband, for medical malpractice, right? But the husband called her a money grabbing, you know what, right? So Corey took the case. He believed the guy, and he won the case, right? So after they won the case, the girl moved back to California with her parents, and then this guy, he couldn't let it go, so he followed her to California, and he was trying to take her out, but in self-defense, she ended up taking him out, and she got a lawyer who couldn't get her out of anything, right? So Corey is blaming himself, and Jax told him like, you shouldn't do that. So Jax gave Corey a big old hug. I was like, here it comes, here it comes. So they were hugging, embracing for a very long time. So they kind of broke apart from each other, right? And they got into it, and Jack's like, stop, I can't do this. And so, Corey, he was like, do you want me to stop? And she wasn't really saying yes or no. And then she started having a flashback to Damon and everything. And so she was like, you know what? We got to stop. And so she ended up leaving, right? So then we see Lucy. Lucy got served by her husband. And then towards the end of the episode, we're at the end of the episode now, you guys. So Jax, she went home. She went into the kids' room and straightened up their room. She went to her room and she saw her wedding picture, and she's remembering her wedding day. Lewis is also thinking about Jax and their marriage. So um he went home, right? And he told Jax that he loves her without conditions. He told her he fights every day for their marriage and for their family. He told her he made a mistake. He got a woman pregnant and he didn't know what to do. I mean, the first thing you could have did was wore a condom. And then also when you found out that you could potentially be this woman's child's father, you could have told your wife, but you didn't. So he told her that he's there for her and that he's sorry. So Lewis was about to walk out the door, and Jack said, "Wait, Lewis," and that's where the episode ended, you guys. So let me know what you guys thought about this episode of Reasonable Doubt down in the comments section below. Subscribe to the channel, turn on your post notifications, you guys. Share the video. Until the next time, you guys, stay safe. Take care of yourselves, you guys. Wash your hands, be blessed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.